The final race before the Champ Car World Series heads back to the United States is here in Brno, in the mountains in the Moravian Republic of the Czech Republic. It's going to be a good one. 26 of the best drivers in the world are lined up and ready to go. There'll be a formation lap beforehand. It's going to be 60 laps, and it's going to be very, very intense. I'm Clayton Hardy to bring you the action. Motegi was something else. It was something unique, for sure. Despite Ray Taylor and Isabel Espinosa winning Phillip Island and Motegi respectively, the points leader is neither of them. It is Nicole Lechty, who has not led a single lap and is sitting fourth. Looking at the pole sitter, Sakura Ishibashi started 25th in Motegi, only to finish 10th, a lap down in Motegi. Patrick Marcelli starting second again. He started second in Phillip Island and was involved in an accident with Isabel Espinosa. So, hoping for better results this time around. Christina Espinosa starting third. She is sitting 23rd in points, a very surprising result so far after two races. Hoping for a bit better. Talked about Nicole Lechty, the points leader, sitting fourth. She's finished fifth and third in the first race of the season. Unarguable consistency with the Black Rose Racing driver. She's probably looking for a little bit more this time around. Natalia Kurachenko with her best qualifying results so far, and she's next to her teammate Giuliano Insaldi. So Striker Motorsports coming up in full, all three cars in the Fast 12 in qualifying, the round two that determined pole position. You have Kaylee Zappa and then Alicia Kovacevic. Both of them have qualified top 12 in every race so far. Stephanie Porter Kelly, the third Striker Motorsports car, also in the top 12, followed by Kimisi Kanoshita, who is qualified 10th. Isabel Espinosa starting in 11th, her lowest starting position so far this year. And Simona Leroux for Highlight Racing, the best starting position for that team ever. That is the top 12, and it goes down from there. You see Jace Clark 13th, Tyler Parker 14th, 15th is David Wessel, 16th is Ronald Walker, 17th is Andrew Draco. So both Phantom Motorsports cars in the same column. Keisha Fox is in 18th, 19th is BK Glover, 20th is Esther Hofson, 21st is Mildred Moon, 22nd is Ray Taylor, 23rd is Cody Blackman, 24th is Rachel Koivanemi, 25th is Cameron Jackson, very unlike him as we know him recently. And then Gerard Perth, who was second in Happy Hour and Final Practice, is rounding out the rear of the field. So a very mixed up grid. It is Alpine's first pole position of the year. Mercedes had pole position in Motegi. Honda had pole position in Phillip Island. So all three manufacturers have their first pole positions within the first three races of the season. Momentum is important. It's going to be a 2 pit stop race. Looking at around lap 25 for the first pit stop, around lap 48 to 50 for the last pit stop. So it sets all the drivers up for about a 10 to 12 lap dash to the finish at the end, should this thing go green all the way. In 2018, the last time Brno held a Champ Car event, there were 14 lead changes among 8 drivers. It was one of the most exciting road course races of the year. And after the insanity of Phillip Island, it's got some shoes to fill. That's for sure. We're moments away from really, there's no way to explain the most famous words of motorsports. We're about a few seconds away, so we'll go silent and let them give the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
There we go. The 26 men and women in the field begin the formation lap before they get started. The track's one of the longer ones in the schedule. It's 3.37 miles. It's most famous for motorcycle racing, but it also hosts endurance events, 6-hour, 12-hour races. To those watching, I hope you enjoy it. A reminder that this is the road course tire. The red wall tires are the road course tires. The black wall tires, the standard tire, is for the ovals. These tires are more even in their tread. I kind of glossed over it at Motegi. The oval tire is meant specifically to put more load on the right side tires. A very unique formula that Firestone has provided the series. There are significant wear differences between the red tire and the black tire. The red tire is softer, which means that they provide more grip, but they also wear faster. It's not as economical than what it is on an oval. We saw at Motegi, people were able to go 60, 70 laps. Drivers won't be going too much further than 30 this time around. So if you equate mileage, it's about 60 miles less on the road course tire than what it is on the oval tire. Ishibashi and Marcelli are trying to play a game of chicken on the formation lap. See, the rest of the field's kind of just giving us out of space, but the first 3 rows, it's game on. I can imagine for Lechty and Espinoza, it's a bit more personal. Nicole Lechty, the points leader. She grew up really kind of just watching Espinoza win everything. And now she has the ability to just beat Espinoza. Espinoza's been off her game. The field is as competitive as it's ever been in the history of Champ Car racing. They're ready to round out to the final 2 turns. This track is, I think, the most elevation-based of the entire calendar. I can't think of a track that has more elevation from highest to lowest point than Brno. But the pace car is going to pull off after the final corner. Here we go. And it is go time in Brno. A very late start. A 3 wide, 4 wide. Espinoza touched the grass just a bit. It's going to be Marcelli that gets the lead out of turn 2. And look at that mess behind Marcelli and Lechty. It's Marcelli, Lechty, Zappa. Sakura Shibashi is back to 5th. And actually getting mugged by the Striker Motorsports cars. And Saldi and Kurachenko both got by the pole sitter. So here's the battle for the lead right now. Lechty's going to try to take it. Kaylee Zappa's going to try to get it as well. Marcelli's down to 3rd. And Saldi's moving up to 3rd. We're half a lap in, and the lead has changed twice. Nicole Lecty trying to run away with it. Talked about consistency for the 81 car. Phillip Island. That wasn't really ever out of the top 5 of Phillip Island. Was always in contention at Motegi, ended up getting third behind Isabel Espinosa and Kinemitsu Kinoshita. But surely at the first lap here, her first lap led all season. It's Lecty, Zappa, and Saldi. Porter Kelly's moved up to 4th. Well, temporarily. Porter Kelly's already back down to 6th. Actually, hold up. It's scoring Ishibashi and Marcellia as being a lap down. Did race control penalize those two? They were the front row. Did they penalize them for playing chicken on the formation lap? That's a very interesting question to ask. Both of them are still on the road, but neither of them are in their correct positions. That is a very interesting development. We'll have to wait and see what race control sends out. They may have been penalized for that. They may have been penalized for a jump start. Or they may have been penalized for not going at the right time. Up front, it's very scary. 3-0 for the lead, Espinoza, Isabel Espinoza, Kaylee Zappa, and Nicole Lecty, 3 wide into turn 1. And Stephanie Porter Kelly with the run of the century. That is for second. Talk about making the most of the tires. Took the outside and just gunned it. I'm assuming both Ishibashi and Marcelli are trying to protest whatever penalty that it is that gave them a lap down. Seems like there might have been some serious objections by race control on how close they were really just touching each other's iPods during the formation lap. So it's Isabel Espinoza, Stephanie Porter Kelly, Kaylee Zappa, Nicole Lecty, Giuliano Insaldi, Jace Clark's up to 6th, battling for 5th now. Alicia Kovalkiewicz. Both are going to get by Insaldi with no issue. And then you have Christina Espinoza. Cameron Jackson's already up to the top 10. Almost the top 10. He is sitting... Yeah, he is top 10. He's sitting 9th. And Tyler Parker was 10th, got passed by Mildred Moon. This race is all over the place. Christina Espinoza, sitting all the way back in 8th, was started 3rd. So none of our top 4 has really done anything except for Lechty. Lechty led the first lap, still sits fourth as of the start finish line. I think she's down to fifth now. Sixth. My bad. Marcelli's staying out. Ishibashi staying out, so whatever it is, it wasn't a pit lane penalty. Or at least not that we're aware of. So Marcelli's motive at this point is to try to get his lap back and go from there. Kovalkiewicz moving on the outside of Zappa and Porticelli. That goes from fourth to second. And Kovalkiewicz will take the lead. What a run on the last sector of the track for Kovalkiewicz. What a gap by Kovalkiewicz. Her and Marcelli both. Ishibashi is out. The caution's out. Interesting to see what it's for. Ishibashi's in the pit lane, so we're assuming that it involved Ishibashi here. But we'll follow to see because they race back to the line here in Champ Car. And a lot can happen in a lap here. Kovalkiewicz is the lowest point of the track here. And now it's all uphill. You could argue that's kind of where the runs come from, is who can manage the uphill section, who can fight against the elevation. It will be Kovalkiewicz to cross the line first, so she will catch the pace car. Kovalkiewicz. Cameron Jackson was up to the top 10 and he immediately dropped all the way back down. So we'll figure out what happened to Ishibashi here. And it looks like it's just a failure for Ishibashi. We're gonna look here. She's just gonna lose the engine. The engine drops right here. Wow. So no damage on Ishibashi's car. Just the car stops. The car stops working. So now Ishibashi's in serious trouble. Marcelli is sitting third in line here. He's a lap down. Assuming that Kovalkiewicz and Espinosa do not pit, Marcelli's not going to get his lap back. Excuse me for that. I'm trying to take a drink real quick. It's been a mouthful for the first 6 laps of this race. Whatever the issue is, they didn't issue a pit lane penalty. They issued a 1 lap penalty. And they issued it to both Marcelli and Ishibashi. So Sakura's going to be 2 laps down. So it's Kovalkiewicz, Isabel Espinosa, Nicole Lechty, Stephanie Porticelli. Then it's Christina Espinosa, Kaylee Zappa, Giuliano Insoldi, BK Glover in 8th, Ronald Walker up to 9th, and Jace Clark in 10th. That's the top 10. under yellow right now. Again, the third car line is Patrick Marcelli. He was 1 lap down. Started second. Penalized with Sakura Ishibashi for formation lap shenanigans. So now he's got a large battle ahead of him. Seems like no one wanted to really pit. Wouldn't be really justifiable under the pit strategy. You still wouldn't be able to make it on 2 stops. Now they come in the pit lane. Marcelli does not. The very narrow pit lane here in Brno. Ishibashi's still not officially out of it. Kovacevic stays in front. Then it's Isabel Espinoza, Nicole Lechty, Stephanie Porter-Kelly, Christina Espinoza, Kaylee Zappa, BK Glover. So Glover actually leapfrogged and Salty in the pit lane. Ronald Walker stayed where he was at. Andrew Draco leapfrogged Jace Clark, as did Esther Hofson. Rachel Koivanemi with a massive leapfrog. Kurachenko in the Russian car. Ray Taylor, Mildred Moon, David Wessel. Sakura Shibashi's back out on track. So she'll be 3 laps down. Hold on. Was there a massive accident in pit lane? That's what it sounds like. Let's try to take a look at pit lane. There's 4 cars out of this race now because of an accident. Hold on. Oh, wow. What happened here? Oh, everyone checked up big time. Oh. Everyone checked up enormously here. That looked violent. So, massive crash entering pit lane. Everyone checked up. And that takes 6 cars out of the Grand Prix. There was a massive checkup entering pit lane. That is bizarre. It was Ray Taylor and Tyler Parker, and then Cody Blackman and Kenoshita were kind of just the next in line and got collected. And Keisha Fox made a stop at time. I talked about the elevation change in the pre-race during the formation lap, and again during the opening laps. This track is one of the most I guess it's one of the most dynamic tracks on the calendar. But it's not a blind corner. That corner is not blind. Marcelli came in the pit lane. Ishibashi's going to be 3 laps down here. And there's still at least one more lap of caution. That is a very bizarre event. All right, so how do I describe these opening 8 laps? It's insanity. The penalty for Marcelli and Ishibashi. Ishibashi suffering a technical issue, which brings up the yellow, and then 4 cars involved in an accident under yellow. Due to, I guess, a lack of common sense? Parker was out of the way. Parker responded. Ray Taylor did not. And then when Ray Taylor hit Tyler Parker, it blocked out the road and took out Kinoshita and Cody Blackman. Now, if we use Phillip Island as a precedent, Ray Taylor is going to have a start at the rear penalty for St. Petersburg, which is one of the hardest tracks to pass at on the Champ Car circuit. St. Petersburg is notoriously difficult to pass on. That is not the place you want a penalty. Again, we'll wait for race control to really clarify how they're going to handle that situation, but it's not looking good for Ray Taylor. And for Kenosha and Blackman, they're just bystanders in that. That's just, for Tyler Parker, it's just extremely unfair. Was sitting really top 10 just a couple laps ago, and is now out of this Grand Prix without really an answer why. A very clumsy move by Ray Taylor, takes out 4 cars, and that's in addition to Marcelli being a lap down and now at the rear of the field, and Sakura Shibashi with a technical issue that Impulse is hoping they solve. Meanwhile, it's Alpine, Honda, Mercedes, 1, 2, 3. Stephanie Porter-Kelly sitting 4th. Christina Espinoza sitting 5th. So, 5 championships are in the top 5. And it's not on the podium. Every driver in the top 7 is a race winner in Champ Car. The first driver that's not a race winner is Giuliano Insoldi, and this is his 3rd race. Looks like we're going another lap under caution. It looks like the lights are still flashing. So whatever it is, there's a lot of cleanup going on. With the side impact that Tyler Parker received, it may be radiator fluid. On top of carbon fiber and other bits of debris. You think about Phillip Island. Phillip Island's a far shorter track. Brno, again, over 3¼ miles in length. It is one of the longer tracks. It is on par with Watkins Glen in track length. Both tracks are 3.37 miles, but Watkins Glen, you can argue, is a lot faster. And not nearly as treacherous would be the right word to say for Watkins Glen. You can definitely say that the early part of this race has been memorable for all the wrong reasons. So when we re-rack, there will be 22 cars left in the race out of 26. And you can bet the press on Monday will be eating this up. For those that have tuned in, we're a sixth of the way through almost. Almost. For those trying to keep track of time, this race has been in effect for 26 minutes. And you can average that up to about 4 minutes a lap so far under caution. So we should get the one to go this time. To everyone watching at home, you might want to get ready to buckle up because it's about to get crazy. Lights are out on the pace car, so we are going to go green at the end of this lap. We're actually going to go on board here with Nicole Lecty. Gotta go with a little track tour as we get ready to go green. Right now she's in turn 1. Turn 1 and turn 2 is this little kink to the left. Actually, pardon me, that is turn 3. The opening sequence of corners is 1, 2, and 3. 3 is the kink to the left. 1 and 2 kind of take the numbering from American ovals, where even though it's an equal radius corner, it'll have 2 turns in it. Up here, as we get ready to go downhill, it is turn 4 and then 5. Now, Brno is one of the very few tracks that do not name their corners. It's just numbered. So through turn 5 we go. It begins to go downhill significantly from here, and you can see it. You can just from the TV cam, you can see the elevation change. From the roll bar camera here on Lecty's car. Turn 6 is coming up next. You see the braking markers, the 100-meter board. now behind us. Turn 6, and then turn 7. It's tricky on motorcycles, even trickier in open wheel cars and heavier vehicles, and very momentum based. Turn 8 is what we're going through now. Then there's a little chute into turn 9. Turn 9 and 10 are completely different than what 7 and 8 were. A lot sharper and a lot different camera. Out of turn 10, it's more downhill. Turn 11 is the lowest part of this track. It's never too uncommon to see drivers outbrake themselves, oftentimes running wide or running into the grass or into the sand on occasion. So it flattens here at the very bottom, and now it begins to go uphill. That is part of the challenge and mystique of Brno. The bottom half, the first half of this track is so quick and so tedious that the second half of the track, as we're going through turn 12 and then turn 13 off to the right, it makes these last set of corners, these last 5 corners, something completely different, something so important to a laptop. If you can't get this final sector correct, it's not going to be a good lap. So here we are, we're actually getting ready to come across turns 14 and 15, the final 2 corners of the track. So we will go green for a lap and right on board with Nicole Lecty, our points leader at the moment. She sits behind the 36 of Isabel Espinosa and the race leader of Alicia Kovacevic. Pace car pulls in. We're green. Nearly off to the left goes Lecty. Seattle run on Espinosa. Gives up a lot of time to the first few corners. That was turns 5 and 6. Well, turns 4 and 5. Here's turn 6. And you see the gap that Isabel Espinosa's already put on Nicole Lecty. Through turn 10. Looks like she gained a little bit of the time back. Look at Porter Kelly and Christine Espinosa. That is all momentum. Kaylee Zappa is sitting now ahead of us as we ride on board with the 81 here. Lecty's losing several positions. There is a massive issue with the 81 car. Massive issues with the 81 car. She stays out, but she's losing more positions. That is definitely an issue for Nicole Lecty. Out of the top 10, she goes just about. Once Esther Hofsing gets by her, it will be out of the top 10. Stephanie Porter Kelly leads at the moment. It's Porter Kelly, then Christina Espinosa, then Isabel Espinosa, Kaylee Zappa, Kovacevic, Andrew Draco. Marcelli sitting at the rear of the field here. 1 lap down. Looking at the rear of the field as they try to sort themselves out. Ishibashi is 3 laps down. 2 laps down. She didn't go 3. Lecty continues to fall. Points leader having tremendous difficulties. It's Porter Kelly, Christina Espinoza, and then Isabel Espinoza, top 3. We've had 1 caution for the stationary car of Sakura Ishibashi. We've had a crash under yellow caused by Ray Taylor as drivers prepared to enter pit lane. That took out Ray Taylor, Tyler Parker, Cody Blackman, and Kinemitsu Kinoshita. So 22 cars still running. We are almost 25% through this race, about 13 of 60. A rivalry reignited here with Porter Kelly and Christina Espinoza, 2 of the oldest drivers in the field at the moment. Only driver I think that's older than Porter Kelly and Espinoza is Andrew Draco. Porter Kelly looking really confident so far. Has really kept an arm's length to Christina Espinoza. That's through turns 13. Coming up to the final 2 corners of the track once again. The gap has shrunk. Not enough for Christina Espinoza to make a move before the start-finish line. So it'll be another lap led for Stephanie Porter Kelly. Becoming a 2-horse race at the moment. Look at Isabel Espinoza, you look at Kaylee Zappa and Giuliano Insaldi. That's the rest of your top 5. Natalia Kurachenko back up to 6th. Alicia Kovalkiewicz 7th. 8th is Andrew Draco. 9th is Ronald Walker. 10th is Rachel Koivanami. Cameron Jackson 11th. Nicole Lecty 12th. David Wessel's 13th. Patrick Marcelli's climbing his way through the field, trying to get his lap back once more. May look to the inside. Didn't pan out. He passed his teammate, Esther Hofson, who is in position range. Hofson sitting 13th. Sakura Ishibashi, butchered that one, excuse me. 2 laps down. Really just kind of waiting out the attrition game, seeing who else falls out of the field. You have Keisha Fox trying to make a 2 for 1 into turn 11. And looks like she'll do so. So that's 13th to 14th's change now. Mildred Moon sitting 15th. BK Glover 16th. The bottleneck in the back of the field is intense. And now it's an Escuria Gia 1-2. We've seen this several times so far this season, and it's never really worked out the right way. Pointed out in the pre-race that Christina Espinoza is sitting 23rd in the point standings. The lowest she's ever sat in points ever in Champ Car. Isabel Espinoza, currently sitting 2nd in points, has not had the best of luck on road courses. Won Motegi quite convincingly, but lost an engine at Phillip Island, and then got collected in a crash by Marcelli and Gerard Perth. So it's not been the greatest fortunes on road courses for this team, even as they sit 1-2. They sat 1-2 at Motegi for a long period of time, and only one of them made it to the finish. Porticelli's still sitting third. Marcelli's already trying to pass Porticelli, so Marcelli's on a run trying to get his lap back. Marcelli gets his lap back. It is certainly going to be game on for the 82 car. Marcelli, I would argue, has one of the fastest cars. Porticelli got mugged at the final corner. Down 2 positions now, down to Ronald Walker and Kaylee Zappa. Porticelli's going to try to take it back, though. Ronald Walker's going to try to hinder Patrick Marcelli's progress. It's not going to happen. Marcelli has the favored line going through turn 5. So now Ronald Walker's in third. His only podium so far has come at Indianapolis in 2018. Finished top 10 in Motegi. For the Apex Racing team, that's momentum they can build on. Kaylee Zappa, with a massive amount of steam and just full charge through turn 11, had to let some of it go. A bit of a chop there by the 97 is going to let Porticelli. Wow. A handful for Porticelli as she tried to stay away from the 97. So now it's 3 wide for a brief moment as Andrew Draco jumps to 4th. Marcelli running wide. The gap is now 6 seconds between the Escuderia Aguilla cars and the rest of the field. If it isn't obvious that the Aguilla cars are working together in unity, then I don't know what to tell you. Because they are working together to clear this field. It's a very similar tactic to what they used in Motegi. And it worked similarly well. They were able to hold their own and just pull away from the rest of the field. So Kaylee Zappa now sits in the 3rd podium spot. It's Porticelli sitting 4th. It's a battle. It is an absolute brawl. That's what the front looks like. The 48 of Cristina Espinosa. Arguably one of the most successful modern day drivers in Champ Car history. Porticelli takes back 3rd. Mildred Moon jumps up to 4th. She had a podium in Phillip Island. Didn't have a great run at Motegi, but showing again some more road course finesse here in Brno. Ronald Walker sits 5th. Kaylee Zappa has dropped all the way down near the end of the top 10. Natalia Kurachenko, Cameron Jackson have also leapfrogged Kaylee Zappa. Jace Clark is trying his best to get in front of the 17 car as well. as they come down into turn 6. The gap is coming down. Cristina Espinosa is now 1 second and change ahead of Isabel Espinosa. And Stephanie Portelli is closing the gap. It was 6 seconds a couple laps ago. Now it is under 4.5. Turns 12 and 13. Here's the run up the hill coming through turn 14. Beautiful mountains in the background in the Czech Republic. Gap has closed some, has closed massively between Portelli and the Espinosa duo. Almost want to say trio there. So it's Honda 1, 2, then it's Mercedes 3 and 4 and 5. The highest Alpine powered car, my words are all over the place today, the highest Alpine powered car is 15th. 15th place. That is rough. There's only 5 Alpine powered cars that are in the field. One of them's already out of the race, as well as 2 Mercedes and a Honda. And then you have another Alpine who's 2 laps down and a Honda that's 1 lap down. For those that follow the engine wars, that leaves 3 Alpines to try to figure it out. Not everything's going according to plan in that camp. Despite Kovalkiewicz finishing top 10 both races so far, it's been rough compared to the Mercedes camp and the Honda camp. Portelli trying to use the space that she's gotten to get herself back into contention for these race wins here. After the slump she took in 2017 and 2018, you could almost call this a renaissance. It's down under 4 seconds. She's trying to make the most of it. Mildred Moon wants another podium to make up for the mistakes she made at Motegi. It'll be interesting to see if Isabella tries to battle Cristina Espinosa at all. As it stands, Isabel would take the points lead, even with the second place finish. She would take the points lead pretty convincingly. But wins are really important. After Motegi, Espinosa made a point of pointing out that her legacy begins here with her first win 2 weeks ago. If her legacy begins at Motegi, where does it go? Because she has quite a roadblock ahead of her. And quite a set of shoes to fill. Looks like she might be trying to go for a run here. Going into turn 1. The gap is enormous. Jace Clark will take third. And there's the charge. Looking for the race lead. 11-year age difference between the two. Christine is 32. Isabel's 21. No doubt in my mind that Christine is trying to keep the younger one in line. Is Jace Clark all the way up to third. A very rough run these first two races. Wrecked under yellow at Phillip Island, and then involved in the crash that sent Patrick Marcelli flipping at Motegi. A very rough span of luck. Christina Espinosa. Steffi Porticelli sitting fourth. Christina Espinosa still leading. Trying to put a stifling on it. You see how close Jace Clark is getting, though. The gap is definitely coming down still. Mildred Moon sitting fifth. Patrick Marcelli still trying to fight to get his lap back. The longer it takes, though, the harder it's going to be. He's going to make a dive, though. Sends it through turn 12. Can he keep it to turn 13? He will. And Mildred Moon stepping sideways will allow Andrew Draco to take fifth. Then Ronald Walker sits seventh. Kelly Zappa eighth. Ninth is Natalia Korochenko. 10th is Cameron Jackson. Nicole Lecty's having loads of trouble right now. But here's Jace Clark. Close the gap from 4 seconds down to less than a second. Almost contact going into turn 4. Coming through turn 5, Jace Clark is going to probably have to give up a little bit here. He'll switch back to the inside, and he'll take second. Here comes the challenge. Jace Clark on a mission to lead his first laps in Champ Car. Going through turn 9, almost hit the 48 of Christina Espinosa. And around turn 10 they go. Had to lay on the brakes heavy to avoid hitting the 48. But the time lost is pretty significant. The most important thing probably is that the duo for Agia have been splitting up. One would have to wonder the effects that the dirty air has played on Isabel Espinosa's tires. Having to fight through the draft and the slipstream to try to keep as close as she was is definitely no easy feat. And she is way off the pace now, almost 4 3/4 seconds behind Christina Espinosa. And now within the clutches of Andrew Draco. And Draco's had a pretty rough go of it. You got a top 5 at Motegi after having a pretty controversial incident with Tyler Parker. But was never to be seen in Phillip Island. Looking through the field, this is outside the top 10. Kaylee Zappa's trying to get back into the top 10 here. Mildred Moon hoarding up some of these drivers. Hobson, the 28, the pink and white. Kaylee Zappa's going to pass Hobson relatively easily. Cameron Jackson's going to try to do the same. Zappa's going to keep the momentum and is going to try to get past Mildred Moon. That's for 6th. And Jace Clark takes the lead, not at the line, but into turn 1. So Espinosa led that last lap. We caught the very tail end of that pass. But what a lunge. Jace Clark now leading the Repsol Grand Prix. The fight is completely on now. It comes from the rookie from Cheyenne, Wyoming, taking on a 4-time world champion. And there's no one around. Jace Clark and Christina Espinoza have quite a distance. Jace Clark continues to pull the gap here. Going through the final 2 corners, turn 14 and then turn 15 to finish the lap. His first lap in Champ Car led. Jace Clark takes it, lap 24. We're now on lap 25, just shy of halfway. And you see the gap all the way back to Isabel Espinoza, almost 8 seconds. Jace Clark is on it. Marcelli's still hanging in there, though it is becoming increasingly unlikely that he will get his lap back at any point without a yellow, and without a little bit of luck. Kaylee Zappa sits 5th, and then Steffi Porter-Kelly, Mildred Moon, Giuliano Ansaldi, Esther Hofson, Ronald Walker is your top 10. Cameron Jackson 11th, Keisha Fox 12th, and Natalia Karachenko 13th. 14th is David Russell. 15th is Nicole Lechty. 16th is BK Glover. 17th is Rachel Koivanami. 18th is Simona Leroux. 19th is Alicia Kovalkiewicz. 20th is Gerard Perth. Ishibashi in for an early pit stop. She looks like she might go 3 laps down here. Jace Clark has cleared Christina Espinoza by 6 1/4 seconds in his 3rd Champ Car race. Crazy pace. It is Ronald Walker with the fastest lap of the race. Obviously, we are pretty well into tire strategy at this point. Jace Clark is managing tire wear pretty spectacularly. We are looking at Jace Clark. It is almost 12 seconds from 1st to 3rd. And then it's even further back to Patrick Marcelli. It would be pretty easy to say that the Agia cars have worn out the tires a bit faster. They are struggling mightily because it has thrown them back right into the grasp of the rest of the field. Jace Clark has made a phenomenal run. Let's see what the gap looks like this time around. Almost 10 whole seconds. we might be witnessing the arrival of Jace Clark into the Champ Car scene. What a display. Everyone else is struggling. Draco's slowed. The Espinoza family has slowed down. Kaylee Zappa isn't as quick. Porter Kelly isn't as quick. Mildred Moon isn't as quick. Jace Clark is pulling such a gap on this field. This is the largest the gap has been at any point so far. We talked about for the past couple weeks how Honda seemed to have the dominance. They had the dominance in Phillip Island. They had the dominance at Motegi. And then it all fell apart. It doesn't seem like there has been the dominance. The fresh tires helped. But when the tire wear kicks in, Jace Clark has shown that Mercedes has something, at least something that is worth watching. I wouldn't count out any of the Mercedes-powered cars. I can't count out Alpine. I'd be more willing to say that the Agia team is really just carrying the Honda badge. Because Jace Clark has pulled up a 13.25 second gap in 3 laps. It is a remarkable performance so far. And obviously, things like the commentator's curse exists. This is one of those things you don't want to curse. It's a very impressive performance by a rookie that none of the pundits were looking at. It was just, well, there's the number 2 driver for Black Rose. And that number 2 driver is performing at a veteran level, at a world-class level. And there's no slowing him down right now. Just watching how he takes each corner, rolling through the momentum. This is a kid who has found his stride. It is very impressive. And this track is one of the most challenging road course venues that Champ Car visits. It's narrow, it's very precise. Normally it's single lane. Normally you have to really just launch your car into a corner and hope it sticks. Looking back, Espinosa just now getting out of the final corner. It is absolutely astonishing. Almost 17 seconds is now the gap. We talked about how it was a Gia as the class of the field. The challenge has been raised. Further back, outside of the podium, it's Andrew Draco 4th, it's Kaylee Zappa 5th, Esther Hobson 6th. All 3 drivers I'm talking about are really skilled drivers. We saw Esther Hobson's performance at Phillip Island. Kaylee Zappa's won numerous races. Andrew Draco's the 2017 world champion. But they're all, right now, they're just background noise. There's no touching that podium at the moment. That's at about 3-second gap. And even if they do get onto even if one of them gets onto the podium, good luck making up 28 seconds. If you're any of these drivers looking at right now, Draco, Hobson, Zappa, Porter Kelly, you need someone to have a bad day. You need someone to force another caution. Because not even pit strategy now can make up that big of a deficit. Into turn 1 goes Jace Clark. Out of turn 3 is Jace Clark now. just now did Cristina Espinosa get out of the final corner. Essentially 20 seconds in 5 laps, 6 laps. Marcelli's gotten past Isabel Espinosa. So Espinosa has no protection at this point against the likes of Andrew Draco. Everyone did pit under the last yellow, so it does extend the pit window a significant amount. Pit window won't be until about lap 40. Drivers theoretically could make it on one more stop. They've done an amazing job saving fuel, working the tires. Really, it goes, how far does the tires go? And right now it looks like the tires will be willing to go really far. Jay Stark staying out. The same seems like some drivers are making an early pit stop here. The gap is just tremendous. Jace Clark started 13th and didn't seem anything didn't seem anything special. Wasn't notable during practice. 23 seconds is the gap. 30 seconds to Isabel Espinosa. 33 and almost 34 seconds to Andrew Draco. Andrew Draco's about to have to battle Kaylee Zappa here. The battle not too unfamiliar like their one in Motegi. You have Zappa, then Hofson sitting just outside this. Static Porter Kelly, who's been in the top 10 all race long. Ronald Walker, who's been up in the top 10 just about all race long. Then you have Mildred Moon, Giuliano Insaldi, and then Cameron Jackson, Natalia Kurchenko, BK Glover, and David Wessel. This is where all the fringe top 10 drivers are at. Again, there are some drivers that have pit early. Keisha Fox, Rachel Koivanami, going on an alternate strat, trying to make something up here. Right now, it's all eyes on Jace Clark. In the modern era, there has not been a rookie to win this quickly since their debut. The most recent one was Astrid Crane, and that was 4 races. Jace Clark can do it in 3. And Astrid Crane's performance in St. Pete, while it was stellar, was never dominating. This is legitimately dominating. If we look back at this year, when we get close to the end of the year, if we talk about just dominating performances, this has to be near the top of the list. Regardless, this has to be near the top of the list. Patrick Marcelli is about to try to get past second place of Cristina Espinosa. Marcelli's got a car. If Marcelli didn't get penalized early in this race, Marcelli easily could be a podium contender. Easily could be. reliability has been an issue. And the trends say that we could see another yellow before this one's done. But right now, it's looking really grim for Cristina Espinosa, who, beginning stanza of this race, looks set up and poised to just walk away with it. And now she's sitting so distant. The gap is stagnated at 25.5 seconds. It's bizarre having to say 25.5 seconds instead of just like half a second or 1.5 seconds. It's 25.5. Hofstad's out. Hofstad's out of this race. Looks like she pulled in the pit lane and is out of this one. More pit stops. That is BK Glover and Andrew Draco. So more people coming in a little bit earlier than anticipated. So it seems like the issues that we were hoping for are happening, but they're happening at a rate to where they're not causing yellows. Ishibashi's out. Kovalkiewicz is a lap down. She had an issue on pit lane. Those people that pit early are starting to leapfrog some of the later pit stops. Tires might be important, and this track is a track position game. Despite the ability to pass, there's still the ability to hold track position. There we go. More people coming in the pit lane. That is Clark's in the pit lane already. Marcelli's coming in the pit lane. Clark's coming out of pit lane before they've even come to their box. Looking at Kelly Zappa still out of pit lane. Going to go another lap. She is just going to leapfrog Jace Clark. Mildred Moon did not get by Jace Clark. But a lot of drivers are coming in the pit lane. So the pit cycle has started about 5 laps early. So it'll be interesting to see how this all cycles out. Jace Clark is obviously going to re-inherit the lead. But now it's about, can anyone use the fresh tires? And what I would argue would be a kind of a refresh as far as rethinking the process or taking the time to analyze things. Can anyone kind of take advantage of that time to try to close the gap to Jace Clark? Because it's not going to be Zappa, it's not going to be Isabel Espinosa. They are going to have to pit. It's going to have to be someone like Christina Espinosa, like Andrew Draco, someone who's already pit. And hope that that an undercut of any kind has been able to help. Because that is a lot of time. Isabel Espinosa stays another lap. So Isabel Espinosa will lead a lap. Jace Clark, however, is going to look to the inside and retake the lead under green and on the racetrack. And off to the races he goes. David Wessel stays out. Steph Porter Kelly stays out. Cameron Jackson, Simona Leroux. Marcelli is the next one that has pit. And he's looking to get past Gerard Perth. If anyone's going to catch Jace Clark, it's going to be Marcelli, and it's not going to be a position battle. It's just going to be Marcelli getting his lap back. Draco sitting in a decent position. Lechty is in the pit lane. The struggle that these drivers are going through right now to try to keep the power down. It is It's difficult when you look at Mercelli and Clark and those that have already pit, and then you look at the drivers that are on 27, almost 30 lap all tires. It is a massive difference. Jace Clark's already pulling away. So now it's going to be really a battle of where do these drivers come out? Because you can argue that Isabel Espinosa stayed out way too long. And she's staying out another lap. So does Mildred Moon. David Wessel is staying out as well. They are hoping for a yellow. They are hoping for a caution. Nobody that needed to come in has come in yet. Gerard Perth stays out. They are hoping for a yellow. They have to be. So now this game gets really interesting. Because if a caution comes out before these guys and girls pit, if a caution comes out in like the next 2 or 3 laps, Isabel Espinosa, Mildred Moon, David Wessel, Stephanie Porticelli look like geniuses. But it has to happen really quick. Because the gap's already 5 seconds. And the longer these guys are out, the harder it's going to be for Christina Espinosa. The gap's 27.8. The more dirty air, the more she has to fight, the harder it's going to be. The more time she loses to Jace Clark. Stayed out again. So David Wessel sits 4th. Steph Porticelli's 5th. Cameron Jackson's 6th. Gerard Perth now takes 6th. LaRose pit at this point. So you see all the retirements. Hoffman's out with an ignition failure. Sakura Shibashi's out with an engine issue. Then Ray Taylor, Cody Blackman, Tyler Parker, and Kinomitsu Kinoshita are out due to the crash that happened under caution early in the race. That's been the only yellow we've had. The gap's already 12 seconds from Clark to Espinosa. From Clark to Christina Espinosa, the next driver on the lead lap who's pit already, the gap is now 31.6. Porticelli comes in. Reminder that the estimated new pit window was about lap 39, lap 40. So Porticelli and Jackson are pitting according to that new window after the yellow, not according to the original pit window, which some drivers seem to have based their strategy off of. And you see how much Christina Espinosa has been held up by Gerard Perth. And continues to be. That's a look at second, third, and fourth at the moment. Right now, it's a matter of where does Isabel Espinosa come in and where does she cycle out. She comes in now. So does David Wessel. So does Mildred Moon. Marcelli is going to be the next line. He's already pit, so he'll just go by pit lane. Gerard Perth is coming in pit lane. Christina Espinosa lost a lot of time to Gerard Perth on that lap. So she's going to be 40.5 seconds behind. And then Kelly Zappa is going to inherit third. Andrew Draco is going to be fourth. Fifth is going to be Giuliano Ansaldi. Sixth is going to be BK Glover. Seventh is Ronald Walker. Eighth is Keisha Fox. Ninth is Isabel Espinosa. That's where she recycles, is ninth. 10th is going to be a battle between David Wessel and Stephanie Porter Kelly. Really, the only battle that's going on at the moment is the battle for 10th. All the drivers that stalemated and stayed out have now come in for their final stops. Porter Kelly's looking to try to get past Isabel Espinosa going into turn 14. That is really close to the gearbox. And she'll do so. Put the power down pretty rapidly. And she'll also get past Keisha Fox. So that puts Keisha Fox down to 10th. It's Isabel Espinosa 9th, and then Stephanie Porter Kelly 8th. Ronald Walker sits 7th. BK Glover sits 6th. Samsung Racing Team Impulse need a little bit of good news after having one of their cars taken out under yellow and then the other one penalized and then suffering a engine failure. Electronic issues happened to the 96 as well, so she's a lap down. So her top 10 streak's going to come to an end. The gap is now 44 seconds and change. We're just going to see how much that changes. But what a display. We are over 2/3 of the way through this race. For the most part, everyone's made their last pit stop. So now it's going to be about how well can you manage your tires and how much time can you make up when you do it. 47.74 is the gap between first and second. Everyone fourth on back is now more than a minute behind Jace Clark. Jace Clark, as it stands, sets to break the record and set the record for quickest amount of time to his first race win. Again, Asher Crane made her first win in her rookie season at St. Pete, which was 4 races in. And that was in 2018. Jace Clark can do it in 3. Looking at Glover as he tries to work on getting past Kovalkiewicz. Kovalkiewicz is not on the lead lap, but trying to get positions in place to where if a yellow does come out conveniently, she'll be in a position to possibly get a lap back. Espinoza right on the gearbox exiting turn 15, and Isabel Espinoza will take 6th away. For Glover, a top 10 is pretty important. He scored a 10th place at Phillip Island. Unfortunately, due to a mistimed yellow, Glover really wasn't able to contend at the end of Motegi, despite leading 40 laps. Getting another top 10 result would definitely help cover the bruise from Motegi. A little bit of a wiggle there from Cameron Jackson allows Simona Leroux to try to take advantage. And that is a battle for 16th. Jace Clark is not too far away from beginning to lap drivers on the road. It has been an absolutely outstanding performance. Even if something does happen to that 7 car now, it is still a performance that is seldomly matched. Koivanemi's a lap down now. Then it is Marcelli. Kelly Zappa is the next driver in line. And that's still 63 seconds back. There's been a massive issue. There's been an issue with Christina Espinoza. She may have come back in the pit lane because there's Jace Clark. Trying to lap the 48 of Christina Espinoza in his 3rd ever start. And he's going to do so. Jace Clark gets by. So Christina Espinoza has now been lapped by Jace Clark. And is putting on a clinic. Again, 13th in qualifying. 13th in qualifying was nowhere notable in any of the practice sessions this weekend. Espinoza has come to pit lane and is now a lap down. For some reason, she came in the pit lane with 16 laps to go. 17 laps to go, excuse me. And it doesn't seem to have helped her because she is slower by a massive margin than Clark. The tires should be a factor at this point. It should be relatively easy to get time back. Jace Clark is just running an amazing race. It is a unmatchable pace. Multiple cars now a lap down. Espinoza, Keisha Fox, Rachel Coivanami. Patrick Marcelli's a lap down as well. Alicia Kovalkiewicz is 2 laps down. 15 cars on the lead lap with 16 laps to go. We have to look all the way down to... We're going into turn 12 here for Keisha Fox. Not Keisha Fox, but Kaylee Zappa. Jace Clark's already in turn 9. So here's the battle for second. This one is beginning to heat up. It's Draco and Zappa. In 2018, people thought that Kaylee Zappa was going to be a championship hopeful. Inconsistency kind of robbed her of that one. In the same vein, Andrew Draco couldn't repeat his performance from 2017. Both found each other battling quite frequently then, and they're battling now. "70 seconds is the gap between Zappa and Clark. And it's baffling to me. Because no one seemed to have the upper hand. There was never a point where I could say someone was going to put this much of a gap on the field. The only people I would have considered was, either of the Espinosas, Nicole Lechty maybe could pull out a little bit of a gap. If she had the consistency to do it leading into this race, none of that matters. Isabel Espinosa is a distant 5th. Christina Espinosa is a lap down. And Nicole Lechty's outside the top 10. Sakura Shibashi, who was dominant all weekend, is out with an engine problem. Patrick Marcelli, who has arguably the second fastest car in the field, is a lap down and will likely remain a lap down for the entirety of this race. "74 seconds. Now the gap, with 15 to go. 3/4 of the way through this race. And we're trying to figure out who's going to be second and third. What a performance. Isabel Espinosa's up to 4th, and Salty down to 5th. Stephanie Bordelli sitting 6th, and Speaka Glover 7th. Ronald Walker 8th, 9th is David Wessel. So both Phantom Motorsports cars doing well this weekend. First time all season so far that both Phantom Motorsports cars have been able to get into the top 10. It's usually either been one or the other. Cameron Jackson is sitting 14th. He's the last car on the lead lap. Gerard Perth is a lap down. And there's Perth. Perth's trying to keep hold of it. It's not going to work. Plain and simple, it's not going to work. Under normal circumstances, maybe. That 7 car is a rocket ship. Perth's still trying. It's Jackson, Lechty, Kurachenko, Leroux. Jace Clark having issues with Gerard Perth. That does put him at a bit of a disadvantage right now. On the other hand, a 75-second lead, you kind of want to protect it. At this point, you have something you can fall back on, and I would not be surprised if he decided at some point that it's just worth it to ride around. Take it easy on the engine. You know, Mercedes does not have the best reliability record, neither does Honda. Ride around, take the engine easy. They're nowhere close. They are nowhere close. Jace Clark could pit and come back out. And the time it would take for Kaylee Zappa and Andrew Drago to get even close. In a race where my speech has been very off par and where everything seems to be chaotic, the only consistent thing is that Jace Clark has a rocket ship. Another attempt to lap Gerard Perth, and it seems like, again, Perth's going to battle it back. Clark will take it this time. And convincingly. Now his eyes are set on Cameron Jackson, who had a rather incredible run at Phillip Island, and again, unlucky pit stop sequence interfered with by a caution, kept him from displaying that same level at Motegi. And just like that, Cameron Jackson is now one lap down. 13 cars now on the lead lap. Nicole Lechty's next in line. This will be an interesting conversation in the team hauler. Obviously, Evangeline Porter knows you got to do what you got to do. Nicole Lechty's not going to appreciate this. Not at all. What does Lechty do? This is... She stayed off the racing line, and she's going to let him have it. And she's going to take it back. And she's going to get Kurachenko. That worked rather well for Lechty. Gained a position, stays on the lead lap, and gives Jace Clark the room to get past Kurachenko. And almost had a bit of a tailspin there. Lost time in that exchange. So Lechty's now up to 12th. Kurachenko's down to 13th. And Clark's in. Clark's in for tires. Began to lose some of the feeling in his car and decided to just come in. 80-second gap, why not? So this changes a bit. This is how far back Kaylee Zappa is to Patrick Marcelli. So a lot of these drivers are going to get their laps back. With 11 laps to go, Jace Clark comes in, decides to take it easy and just take an extra set of tires. That puts him behind Rachel Koivu-Niemi, who is 18th on the road. And Kelly Zappa's still only now to turns 12 and 13. That is hysterical. Although the question now becomes, was that a required pit stop or was that a pit stop out of simple Why not? With there was about 15 laps on those tires. Would have to wonder why. Why that pit stop? Even though plenty of time to spare, why that pit stop? It's Zappa, Draco, Moon, Isabel Espinosa, Giuliano and Salty's a bit further behind, and then it's BK Glover, Static Porter Kelly, and here's a battle for ninth. It is Simona Leroux and David Wessel. Looks like Wessel's going to have the advantage going into turn 4. Letty's showing a bit of promise now, up to 11th. Letty realized she was almost lapped, and almost lapped by her teammate, and has now kicked it into high gear up to 11th, trying to catch up to Leroux and Wessel. So now we'll see what the new gap looks like with 10 to go. What a display by Jace Clark. I've said it repeatedly. If Champ Car had a driver of the day voting, Jace Clark would have to have this one. The gap is still 40 seconds, but it's now Andrew Draco in second place. Kaylee Zappa down the third, and by a significant margin, over a second. Mildred Moon fourth. Isabel Espinosa's in the pit lane. We might be seeing something different here. This is not over. Not over in the slightest. We have another round of pit stops. There's Jace Clark working on Rachel Koivanemi going into turn 14. Pretty easy work. Jace Clark's by. So now that establishes a new question. What's happening to this podium? Can Draco and Zappa make it to the end? Isabel Espinosa was one of the last drivers to pit, and has now come in. Jace Clark came in out of not really a need, but because he could. Andrew Draco stays out. Kelly Zappa stays out. Mildred Moon stays out. BK Glover is sitting now in 5th. He's staying out. Sorry, BK Glover's 6th. No, he is 5th. He is 5th now. And Salty 6th. Porter Kelly 7th. 8th is Leroux. 9th is Wessel. Someone else just came to pit lane. That is Cameron Jackson. So 10th is now Nicole Lecty. Jace Clark is going to be on the ball when Cameron Jackson comes out of pit lane. Eight to go. And Cameron Jackson is now 1 lap down. Massive questions now for pit lane. Can the top three, excluding Jace Clark, can Draco, can Zappa, can Moon, can they stay out for the rest of the race? Zappa's lost a lot of time. Moon is equally distanced back. Glover's hanging around. He's got a top 5 in his pocket right now. Teammates are battling. That was for 7th. That was for 6th, sorry. 6th and 7th. Simone Leroux trying to get Highlight Racing's best finish to date. As pit stops, apparently pit stops loom large. The pit window was supposed to be 25, 30 laps. That's what we were assuming. Now, as we look at the drivers that have not yet pit this last time, can they make it? Isabel Espinosa was the last driver to pit. Pit with less than 25 to go and could not make it. What does that say about the rest of the top 10? What does it say about Keisha Fox? Keisha Fox and BK Glover, who, if we looked at that range that was set, Glover was out just on that line. The window was supposed to be 25 to 28 laps. Everyone pit within that margin. Espinosa pit with about 21 to go. Was that not enough? Draco stays out one more time. Zappa stays out. Mudron Moon stays out. So they feel confident. But Glover stays out. He feels confident. Jace Clark is working his way through the field again. Highlight Racing in their Champ Car existence, since they've come back in 2018, have not finished inside the top 10 yet. This is the same Highlight Racing that in the late 90s and early 2000s was one of the top 3 teams. And they have struggled mightily since they've come back. A top 10 finish would be well earned. Simona Leroux's battling for it. That's battling for 7th at the moment, battling with Insaldi. David Wessel sitting 9th, Nicole Leckie 10th. They have Kurachenko in 11th. 12th is Ronald Walker, who was in the top 10 for most of this race. Gerard Perth. Christina Espinosa sitting 14th. A very off-color day for the 32-year-old 4-time champion. Isabel Espinosa sitting 15th. So both Agia cars sitting well outside the top 10. Kovalkiewicz was already a lap down, going 2 down now. Trying to fight a little bit. Clark's got the outside, so he's got the momentum, and he's going to pull away. A little bit of a glitch there, but we're back. Looking at Kaylee Zappa as she sits in 3rd. 56 seconds. And Jace Clark pit. Draco and Zappa have not. Glover has not pit recently. His last pit stop was lap 35. Massive questions in the last 5 laps. Glover's going to try to hold off Mildred Moon here. Going to keep an eye on that. That actually should be a battle for fourth. So Glover's now sitting fourth. Could really capitalize if Draco and Zappa cannot make it, can really capitalize and get a podium out of this. Mildred Moon's in the same boat. It's Mona Leroux trying to bring highlights first top 10 since eons ago. She's sitting sixth at the moment. It's her and then Stephanie Porter Kelly sitting seventh. Eighth is Giuliano Insaldi. Ninth is David Wessel. 10th is Nicole Lechty. Lechty, despite looking like the consistency streak was going to be over, has found a way to get back into the top 10 with 4 to go. Wessel is still ninth. While we're looking at Jace Clark here, trying to lap Isabel Espinoza. It has been absolutely hysterical so far today. No one's pit yet. Glover's lost a lot of time. Mildred Moon's looking for third, looking on the inside, and will take it going into turn one. Job done, Mildred Moon. Just like that, Glover went from being fourth, sitting on the fringe, to now sitting fifth, and Mildred Moon went from fifth to now being on the podium in one lap. That is Brno. Now Mildred Moon has to hold it. Leroux's still sixth. It's Ansaldi seventh now. Porter Kelly's dropped to eighth. Ninth is Wessel. 10th is still Lechty. Battle for 11th right now between Kurchenko and Walker. Marcelli sitting behind it. Not much he can do about it. Thirteenth is Christina Espinoza. 14th is Gerard Perth. 15th is Isabel Espinoza, but she is the first car one lap down. Jace Clark is on a mission. We're looking at second place because it's not certain that Draco can make it. Draco could very well not have what it takes to make it. He's really slow coming in turn 14. Super slow coming into turn 14. Zappa is right on his tail. And we'll look to the inside. That is for second place. Zappa's going to clear him. These drivers are saving fuel. They're taking turns saving fuel on these straightaways. They're taking turns racing. That's the only way you can explain how effective that was. They're not sure they can make it. We're 3 to go. Almost 2 to go for the race leader. What a race. And it's still going on. Glover's lost out on 5th to Insaldi. Glover has to be saving at this particular point in time. Insaldi's trying to make something work here. Looking for a top 5 in all of this. LaRoe's still sitting top 10. Glover's still sitting in 6th. The battle still rages on. Mildred Moon's battling for 3rd here with Draco. Trying to end the lap, coming to 2 to go for these guys. And is going to take it. So now is Mildred Moon going to try to go for 3rd. She's going to try to go for 2nd here to the outside for turn 1. Side by side going through turns 1 and 2. Zappa's going to have the advantage through turn 3. LaRoe is charging now. At what pace have drivers been saving, and when do they let go? Glover's now trying. That's for top 5. And Salty and Glover's off. Glover's off. Glover's off into the wall. On the last lap of the race, for the race leader, Glover is off into the wall. The caution will come out, but the race will be over. Everyone's racing to the line at this particular point in time, but the leader took the white flag. This is a race to the finish. Jace Clark took the white flag. Glover was ambitious, trying to get past Insaldi. Insaldi got loose going through turn 4. Glover tried to avoid onto the grass, and out he went. So close to being able to lap Christine Espinoza. Once again, and it's not over yet. Clark's still on it. Espinoza's got to try to get past Ronald Walker. Is he going to do it? He's going to lap Espinoza. So both Scuderia Eguia cars, for the first time, have been lapped. The race is over. Jace Clark wins the Repsol Grand Prix of the Czech Republic. It's Kaylee Zappa second. Third is Mildred Moon. Fourth is Andrew Draco. And Saldi, LaRoe, Wessel, Porter Kelly, Kurachenko got by Lechty, but Lechty remains in the top 10. Ambitious move to try to get a top 5 for BK Glover costs him the race. And drivers are out of fuel on the front straightaway. What a race. So it is it's not Patrick Marcelli. Marcelli is not in the 7 anymore. It is Jace Clark in the 7 car as the race winner in his 3rd ever start. Kaylee Zappa with another podium. Mildred Moon with another podium. Her 2nd in her career. And her 3rd start. Andrew Draco, Giuliano Insaldi, Simona LaRoe. Simona Leroux with the top 6. 7th is David Wessel. 8th is Steffi Porticelli. 9th is Natalia Kurchenko. So all 3 striker cars are in the top 10 as they qualified. 10th is Nicole Lechty. 11th is Gerard Perth. And 12th was Ronald Walker. 12 cars on the lead lap. Cristina Espinoza is 13th. 14th is Isabel Espinoza. So both the Ghia cars, as I mentioned before, a lap down for the first time in competition. Rachel Koivanemi is 15th. 16th is Cameron Jackson. 17th is Keisha Fox. 18th is Patrick Marcelli. 19th is BK Glover, who wrecked out on the last lap. Alicia Kovalkiewicz is 20th. 21st and out of the race early was Esther Hofson with an ignition failure. Sakura Ishibashi was 22nd with an engine failure, and then Ray Taylor, Cody Blackman, Tyler Parker, and Kinemitsu Kinoshita out on lap 6. What a race. There you have it, the official series results from Brno. What a way to end the opening leg of the Champ Car season. St. Petersburg is in 2 weeks' time. As we try to figure out penalties, as we try to figure out official results, we can't wait to see you back. It's been unpredictable, it's been wild. It's been fun to watch along with you guys. Can't wait to see you again in 2 weeks. So until next time, for Champ Car action, I'm Clayton Hardy. Take care, everyone.